Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices, and we've allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, the constituent, to know the truth. But remember, you will not be silenced. Now, if you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and you want to hold our elected leaders accountable, we ask that you subscribe to our social media platforms. Currently, right now, this live episode is being streamed on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook. We could be found under Frankie Olivo. We encourage you to follow our personal page under Olivo Frankie. But more importantly, create a Gmail account if you don't have one already. Go to YouTube and make sure that you subscribe, like, and follow our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Currently, right now, we are 700 in the 780 mark. Our goal by the end of this year is to hit 1,000. Remember, Brownsville, I will never ever ask you for money. I will never ever ask you for food. Well, depends what you're making. All I ask of my community is to follow our social media platforms, be down for the cause, but more importantly, make sure, if you haven't already, that you subscribe to our YouTube page titled Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously, sometimes a little bit after. So make sure that you subscribe to Frankie Olivo TV on YouTube to tune in. We will not be silenced. And always remember, Brownsville, I'm forever grateful to each and every one of you for the time and attention that you provide us. Thank you so much for that. How we doing, chat? How we doing? It's finally here. Happy Friday. I hope this week was an eventful one, that all your hard work and stress and struggles have finally come to an end. We finally have arrived to the weekend. I hope you have a much relaxed Friday, ready for this weekend where you can enjoy yourselves, relax, and um, be with your loved ones. Uh, Today, ladies and gentlemen, as we have previously announced, we will be talking about sports. This is Good Morning Brownsville Sports Talk Edition. Every Friday from here till God decides, we will have a sports show on Friday. The main topics will be the NFL, college football, and even high school football. I want to keep this as fresh as possible. Many people always say, "Oh, well, you're too political. You're too negative. You just focus on BISD. You hate BISD. You are on a mission to get elected, and this and this, that and that. You have agendas." No, if I wanted to get elected, I probably would avoid controversial topics. Um, but that's just me. So I do want to target a different audience. For those that aren't aware, we have previously, in recent years, focused on sports. And this is something that many people have asked. Are you going to be doing it once again? Let me know if you are. I would like to join. With the weekend, on the eve of the weekend, I want to talk about what's going on in sports. Yesterday on Amazon Prime, if you weren't tuned in, the Miami Dolphins did travel to face the Buffalo Bills. For the most part, it was an entertaining game. It seems as if the Dolphins. Were. Good morning, Elena. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you and your loved ones have a good Friday. Thank you for stopping by. Much love. The Miami Dolphins so far have not been performing the way many anticipated. Mike McDaniels was brought in from the San Francisco 49ers, where he served as the offensive coordinator. And we saw how much success he had with Brock Purdy, with the likes of Deebo Samuels, McCaffrey. to name a few. We saw how the 49ers in 3 years reached the Super Bowl, in 4 years reached the Super Bowl twice. They had a dynamic offense. And we saw something in Miami in recent years, 2 years ago, and we thought, wow, Mike McDaniels being a young coach, offensive guru, he's going to have a young Tua Tagovailoa, a highly touted quarterback out of Alabama who won the national championship as a true freshman. You know, he is what the Dolphins needed. They brought in Tyreek Hill, a speedster from the Kansas City Chiefs. What we have seen in recent years from this team has been collapse. Currently, yesterday, they were in the thick of things throughout the game. For the first 3 quarters, it was neck and neck. They lost the game, and I believe the spread was 8 or 9. And you know, people always say, man, Vegas always has it right. The Buffalo Bills did cover the spread. They did win the game by 10 points. The interesting thing is what happened to Tua. Everyone thought that Tua was going to be this phenomenon, and now he's been the butt of jokes. The scary thing about Tua is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy. In recent years, he has suffered numerous concussions. I believe last season he suffered 2, possibly 3 concussions that were reported. Many people questioned his durability, questioned will he be the future of the Miami Dolphins. And after an 0-3 start, maybe the Dolphins fans are starting to ask that very question. Is Tua the future of our franchise? We have seen whenever Tua goes down, the Miami offense does not flow. We're used to seeing Tyreek Hill just run a fade, just beat the secondary, and just wait for a Hail Mary, it seems. But now defenses have been able to stop that. What is sad to see about Tua is that he lacks the qualities needed to be a franchise quarterback. Is this the beginning of the end for Tua? Remember, he just signed a multi-year deal. He's getting paid like a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And again, these franchises, they won't stick with a starting quarterback if they don't have any assurance that multi-million-dollar quarterback is going to get them into the playoffs, is going to compete for the AFC Championship, is going to be in the Super Bowl. Again, you pay what you expect, right? Especially whenever you have an athlete making $200+ million. I believe we're starting to feel that the Miami Dolphins aren't what they were projected to be. And again, this offense revolves totally around Tua. Whenever Tua goes down, the offense flusters. Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Archin in the backfield. They don't have it. There's only been one team in the past 25 years to start 0-3 and make it to the playoffs. And that was the 2018 Texans with Deshaun Watson. And if we look at the Miami Dolphins schedule, well, it doesn't look good. We could argue and say, well, they should get this is the Texans schedule for that year. But it's impressive to see what's the direction the Dolphins will take. Will they shut down Tua if they go, I don't know, 0-5, 0-6? Will they throw away the season? Will they start preparing for next year? And questions start lingering about, well, what's going to happen to Tyreek Hill? He has been openly critical of his head coach, of his quarterback. During the offseason, there were questions whether he was going to request a trade. We have his former team in the Kansas City Chiefs, who they could possibly use the services of a wide receiver. We saw how Worthy out of UT, out of Texas, in the season opener against the San Diego Chargers, he got hurt running a drag route, running a cross route with Travis Kelce. He's got a dislocated collarbone. I think they did state that he is on the practice field, but you know how that goes. Those injuries, they're tender. Any little hit, if he falls on the shoulder, it could possibly re-aggravate that injury, and there's no telling if that injury will sideline Worthy for even longer. Also, Rice, their receiver, is coming off knee surgery. Also, he was suspended 6 games for an incident that happened in Dallas that he crashed. So the Kansas City Chiefs could use the services of someone like Tyreek Hill. Now, again, both Kansas City and the Miami Dolphins, they have yet to score a W. Kansas City Chiefs lost against the Chargers in Brazil, and they lost this last week against the Super Bowl winning champions, Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe if they go on a losing streak, maybe it's not to their convenience to pick up Tyreek Hill. Why are we going to trade assets if we might not even contend for the AFC West? And that's kind of unheard of, ladies and gentlemen, because whenever we think of the Kansas City Chiefs, they have claimed that division for the past 10 years. This is something that whenever you think of the AFC, you think of Kansas City. Now the teams that are looking good is the Denver Broncos, is the San Diego Chargers. What's going to happen with Kansas City? So that's going to be interesting to follow. But more importantly, what's going to happen to McDaniels? Again, he was expected to turn this team around. And we saw that in the first year, second year of him implementing his offense that he had in San Francisco, that he learned from Kyle Shanahan. Again, whenever you think of the Shanahans, all you think of is offense. So Mike McDaniels is a young coach. They expected him to turn this franchise around, and he hasn't been able to do so. Is Mike McDaniels on the hot seat? Should we expect for the Dolphins to go in a different direction? Now, I know what you're thinking. You know, while 0-3 does sound like being in a hole, a difficult hole. The NFL season is comprised of 17 weeks. Could they turn this around? Possibly. It's hard to argue that they are in a competitive conference. We have the Buffalo Bills, who they just faced, who many anticipate are going to win the division. The Jets, while they looked promising in their season opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's still many question marks in regards to their defense. Let's not forget about the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, brand new coach. Even though I am not a fan of Drake May, they did beat the Dolphins this past week. So is Mike McDaniels going to be on the hot seat? I would dare say yes. Because remember, every quarterback, every head coach, for the most part, unless you're Mike Tomlin, unless you're possibly Bill Belichick, these coaches are only given anywhere from 3, 4, possibly 5 years to contend for the conference, to be in those playoffs, to be playing deep in January and into February. That is the reason why they pay them the big bucks. So if a program isn't turned around, if a franchise isn't competing after the third year, That's when the franchise starts thinking, maybe, maybe we should go, maybe we should go in that direction. So something to follow. This is something that I believe will be the end of Mike McDaniel's tenure at Miami. Um, what's going to happen to Tua? Again, he has been prone to not be able to stay healthy. Many people were questioning why did the Dolphins sign him to a very lucrative contract? It just doesn't make sense. But again, something to look forward to. And when we talk about franchise quarterbacks, who comes to mind? Obviously, Patrick Mahomes. We think of Joe Burrow. We think of Justin Herbert, even Super Bowl winning quarterback Jalen Hurts. Look what happened with Miami, ladies and gentlemen. Miami had the opportunity to pick up Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, and they went with Tua. Why? Why is that? What did they see in Tua? Again, whenever Justin Herbert came out of Oregon, he was considered a stud. Now, many could argue and say that the Pac-10, Pac-12 now, isn't a strong conference, but he had all the intangibles coming out in the 2020 NFL draft. Many people projected and stated this is a franchise quarterback. Are the Dolphins regretting their pick of Tua? I would dare say yes. Now, again, Justin Herbert has all the intangibles. He really does. And in his in this season, is this the season where he is going to blossom into that franchise quarterback that the LA Chargers believe he would become when they drafted him? Jordan Love, at least Jordan Love is competing for divisional titles. Jordan Love beat the Cowboys. I don't want to remind my people, but he's winning playoff games. And again, Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl, and he was drafted in the second round. So this draft, ladies and gentlemen, there's no question the talent that Joe Burrow has. Right now, Joe Burrow is dealing with a turf toe injury. He is set to be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how he recuperates. But at least Joe Burrow took the Cincinnati Bengals to the NFL Super Bowl against the LA Rams. They did lose that game, but that's what you want out of your quarterback. You want them to compete for division titles. You want them to compete in the AFC, NFC championship. You want to be in the Super Bowl. That's why these players are drafted, to take them to the promised land. So Tua, in the draft, he was picked 5th overall. The Dolphins, ladies and gentlemen, the Dolphins are starting to regret this pick after seeing Justin Herbert blossom and becoming the quarterback that he is, after seeing Jordan Love win playoffs games and having a more command of LaFleur's offense. You expect these quarterbacks after a while to take ownership and become what many projected them to be. So that's something moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. What's going to happen to the Dolphins if they continue to lose? Are they going to tank the season? Will they trade for Tyreek Hill? What's going to happen to Mike McDaniels? Is he going to be on the hot seat? Or is Ross, the owner, chairman for the Dolphins, is he going to give him some leeway? Because at the end of the day, he is on a path towards, on a downward spiral for this quick NFL season. Something interesting to follow is that Josh Allen, in his short career, he's undefeated on Thursdays. A phenomenal quarterback, a franchise quarterback. Is this the year where the Buffalo Bills make it to the Super Bowl? You have Bills Mafia that are going to go crazy. If they do, they have a brand new stadium that is in the works, possibly going to be opening up the following season, if not the next. So Josh Allen is undefeated on Thursday nights. Also, he is the fastest player to reach 3,300 touchdowns, including playoffs in NFL history. What does that say? Going back to the draft, the Dolphins missed out on a stud. Now, not just the Dolphins, everyone. Josh Allen was from a different class. But whenever you thought of Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming, many people didn't anticipate him becoming the quarterback that he is. Fortunate for the Bills, they did see something in Josh Allen. Are we going to see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl? Are we going to see him compete for championships? That is something that that should be the topic of discussion. They will be speaking about his name for many years to come. He is in conversations as being the quarterback in the NFL this season, with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, with the likes of Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and others. I put them in a small pedestal. I really do. And when we talk about the draft that Josh Allen was a part of, the Jets don't look good. Now, again, Cleveland had the first overall pick. They went with Baker. While many would argue that Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, at least Baker Mayfield is competing. He did win a playoff game for the Browns in his first year, if I'm not mistaken, which that was unheard of for the Cleveland Browns. He did bring them to some sort of relevancy after the Johnny Manziel disaster in Cleveland. But when we look at the Buffalo Bills drafting Josh Allen, number 7 overall, we look at the other teams that could have used his services. And the Cleveland Browns missed out on Josh Allen not once, but twice. I don't even think Denzel Ward is with them. Is he? Possibly. Is he a shutdown corner? I don't hear him in those conversations. But look at the Jets. Look at the New York Jets. Now, Sam Darnold has become a, what's the proper word? Consistent quarterback. He did show promise and he did resurrect his career with the Minnesota Vikings. Now he is with the Seahawks. But the Jets would have benefited handsomely for Josh Allen's services. What about the Broncos? Now, Bo Nix is someone that Coach Payton is molding into becoming another Drew Brees. Will he reach that potential? It's hard to tell. This is Bo Nix's second year. The Indianapolis Colts, they went with interior lineman in Nelson, who has made the Pro Bowl. They missed out also on Josh Allen. In recent years, they drafted Anthony Richardson, who's not even starting for them. They have journeyman Daniel Jones, former quarterback of the New York Giants. We have seen how Daniel Jones has resurrected his career with the Colts. He's 2-1. Or no, he's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, the services of Josh Allen, I am more than sure we can make the argument that Cleveland missed out. It's hard to go against Saquon Barkley, but the Jets missed out. We could make the argument that anyone would pick Josh Allen over Bo Nix, right? And what about the Indianapolis Colts? They possibly missed out on the services of Josh Allen. And when we talk about elite, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about elite franchise quarterbacks, again, Patrick Mahomes is always in the discussion. Josh Allen is always in the discussion. Joe Burrow, because he took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl, is in this discussion. Lamar Jackson, MVP caliber quarterback, he's always in the discussion as a passer and as a running the football. But what if the individual that's not getting talked about is Baker Mayfield? Now, again, out of this group, it's all about wins, right? It's all about rings. Patrick Mahomes has 3. He's the only one that has rings in this elite, quote unquote, class. But shouldn't we put more respect on Baker Mayfield's name? He has more passing yards than all these elite quarterbacks. He has more touchdowns, which is impressive. In these past, 2-3 years? Look at his record, 21-15. So he's leading. He's leading this group in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So should we put more respect on Baker Mayfield's name? I would dare say yes. Again, statistics don't lie. Many people could argue and say, yeah, but look at his record. But he's a gunslinger. He has been throwing more touchdown passes than any other quarterback. So will you put more respect on Baker Mayfield's name? I think we should. Another interesting topic, ladies and gentlemen, that many people have been talking about has been the famous tush push. The tush push has revolutionized the game of football. While many people argue that it is mirroring rugby, many people are in favor of this. And the team that has benefited greatly from this is the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL, ladies and gentlemen, just announced that the Eagles should have been called for false start on the tush push this past Sunday against the Chiefs. And now moving forward, because if you look at the screen, are the offensive linemen offsides? Do they have an advantage? The NFL, ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is instructing officials to call these plays tighter moving forward. Are we going to see the end of the tush push? Possibly. Because whenever you take a look at the sideline view, it's an interesting take. Look at this. Are they offsides? Are they on the ball? Does this cause the defense as well to be offsides? If the referees aren't hard on this, many people are going to argue that the Eagles do have an advantage. And many teams, ladies and gentlemen, in the offseason, they have been wanting to eliminate this. But one would think, hey, just stop them. It shouldn't be that hard, right? Because at the end of the day, these tush pushes, they're just like goal line stands. 4th and 1, 4th and short. I think of those drills that we would do in whether it's the Oklahoma drill or it's like mano a mano. Like the offensive linemen, they're taught pancakes, right? You get them in between the numbers and you drive them to the ground. This is what the tush push is. I'm stronger than you. You know what I'm going to run. You know what I'm going to do. Stop it. That's what it is. That's what the Eagles have been saying. And no one, I think there has been a stop here and there, possible fumble by the Eagles. But for the most part, Their conversion rate on 4th and short because of the tush push is very high, which causes teams such as Kansas City, their defensive tackle, Jones, was saying, you're running the damn play, the freaking play over and over again. And Saquon Barkley said, well, stop us. So will the NFL come down hard on the tush push? Because the only team that has been able to benefit from this so far has been the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally, ladies and gentlemen, don't want this to go because goal line stands, 4th and 1, 4th and short, is you're showing your strength on the offensive line, on the defensive line. If you have studs on those offensive or defensive lines, you're making that stop. There's no way they're going to get you. We can also talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a stud. He came out of Alabama, came out of Oklahoma. He's from the Houston area. He squats 500 pounds. From the waist down, he's got oak trees. You're not stopping him with an arm tackle. Maybe if you're a defensive tackle, right, in the 300-plus pound mark. But for the most part, you need to put a body on Jalen Hurts. So again, the only team that has been benefiting from this tush push as of late has been the Eagles, has been Jalen Hurts. They've been able to convert. With the NFL now making this announcement to the referees, are we starting to see the beginning of the end? Because again, in the offseason, there have been teams that have been asking the league to eliminate this. I have a big problem with this. It's like baseball. In baseball, they did away with the shift. I'm like, really? These are professional athletes. If on the diamond, on the baseball field, if the shift affects them, if they have more infielders on one side, if you're a good hitter, just slap it to the other side. Again, easier said than done, right? But I hate whenever the league tries to enforce their will. Just because a team, just because a player, a batter isn't able to, and all the great hitters are able to kind of dictate where they hit it. Tony Gwynn was amazing at this. You know, depending on the pitch that he waited for, he was able to drop it over second, drop it in between center and right. There are many factors, the pitch count, what pitches and things like that. But for the most part, every decent hitter could drop it. So now, will the NFL get rid of the tush push? I dare say leave it. If these teams can't stop it, have them assign better defensive linemen. Because again, it's a mano-a-mano thing. 4th and short, 4th and 1. Who's going to dominate? And that's what they teach, right? At the high school level, college, and football. Games are won where? In the trenches. That's what I hear everyone say. That's what I hear everyone say. So for the NFL to crack down on the tush push, I'm not in support of it. I hope we don't see the end. But the more teams aren't able to contain the Eagles, the more teams aren't able to stop the tush push, the more we're going to hear them complain. The more we're going to see the NFL try to crack down on them. I'm all about making sure that both offensive and defensive linemen are on sides. That they should enforce and that they should watch. But getting rid of a play because other teams haven't been able to stop it, just doesn't sit right with me. Even though, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles are division rivals, former championship contending team that they're, you know, defending their title, I don't want this to go away. I love the idea of the tush push because that's what football's all about. Football is about dominating the person in front of you. And if we get rid of that, well, might as well just play kickball. Might as well play flag football, Chico. but that's just me. A very interesting lineup set for the third week of the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. We have Green Bay traveling to Ohio, to Cleveland. The Browns haven't won yet, while they rely on Myles Garrett and their defense to keep them close in games. Joe Flacco hasn't been able to muster enough firepower on the offensive side to get Cleveland a W so far. Many questions have arisen. What's going to happen to the rookie quarterbacks? You have Sanders and Dillon. When do we start seeing them? Is it after week 4, week 5? If the Browns go without a win, you want to get them reps little by little because you don't want to throw them into the fire just yet, right? You want them to get acclimated to the speed of the game. You want them to be able to intake everything that's going in to process the offense, making sure that they do their check down reads, them being on the sidelines, having the clipboard, listening to the plays in their ears. They're able to visualize and see, possibly read the defense. It's a little bit harder on the sideline to read the defense, but it helps them get acclimated little by little. Green Bay is favored to win by 8 points. Will Cleveland keep it close? We saw how, and again, being in a LaFleur offense, it's a high-powered offense. Jordan Love should be discussed as being elite. Should be. I do have the Green Bay Packers reaching the Super Bowl this year. After the Micah Parsons trade, we can only argue that benefited their defense. And the time to win is now because, again, whenever they traded for Micah Parsons, they gave up 2 first rounds. So in the next few years, they're not going to be drafting in the first round. So their window to win for the Green Bay Packers is now. I do see them contending, obviously, for the NFC North. I do see them competing for the NFC Championship game and playing in the Super Bowl in February. That's just me. I do have the Packers covering the spread, and I do have the over. The over-under for this game is 41.5. So 2 things. I have the Packers winning big, and I have the Packers covering the spread, and I have this game, Packers and Browns, to go over. In regards to the AFC championship battle against division rivals, the Colts and the Titans. The Titans have Ward, the first overall pick. I believe in Daniel Jones. I believe in the Indianapolis Colts. I like what I see. And the interesting thing about Daniel Jones is many people blamed him for all the struggles in New York. Was it good for him to get away possibly from the New York media? The New York Giants did not have a good team during his tenure there. And they always say being placed in a new team possibly gives these players new opportunities, new goals, new vision, a fresh start. And so far, what we have seen from Daniel Jones is a promising season. So far, he does have his regular season stats. He is throwing for close to 600 yards. He does have 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. So again, in he's throwing for 71% completion rate. He did win big against Miami in his season opener. They narrowly beat the Denver Broncos on a late penalty to close out the game, where they called a penalty on a defensive lineman for the Broncos who hovered over the center when they tried to block the game-winning, at the time, the game-winning kick They moved them 5 yards, 10 yards, and ultimately the Colts ended up winning that game on a prayer. But I like what I see from Daniel Jones. There is promise there. Maybe him having a new team benefited him. There's no arguing that the Colts do have a decent defense, and obviously the any quarterback would benefit from having a decent defense to keep you in the game. The spread here is Indianapolis is favored to win by 4. Even though I have the Colts winning this game, I have the Titans covering the spread. I think it's going to be a close game, a possible a field goal, a possible 1-2 point victory for the Colts. Again, I do have the Colts winning this game, but I do have the Titans covering the spread. Even though I'm not it's too early for us to jump on the Ward bandwagon so early. I do have the Colts winning the game, but the Titans covering the spread. In the next game is going to be very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because the Vikings in their season opener, we thought, wow, this is the reason why they drafted McCarthy, J.J. McCarthy, number 7 out of Michigan. He's a stud. He's a dual threat quarterback. He showed out on Monday Night Football even though it was against the Bears, but there was promise there, right? So J.J. McCarthy is dealing with a high ankle sprain. He did have a setback game against the Atlanta Falcons on prime time. So the Vikings will have Carson Wentz starting the game against the Bengals. Minnesota is favored to win by 3 with the over-under being 42.5. We can talk about Joe Burrow as well. We spoke earlier about Joe Burrow having a turf toe injury. He's projected to be out 4 to 6 weeks. The Bengals offense again. The Bengals offense heavily relies on Joe Burrow. We have seen previous years how once he goes down, Chase doesn't get the ball. Jamar Chase doesn't get the ball. Chase Brown, the box is stacked against him. So those read plays, those counter tackle plays, those screen plays, they don't work. What did we see last week? We saw Jake Browning, the backup quarterback, fill in the second quarter for Joe Burrow. Even though Browning did have 3 turnovers, ultimately he showed up when his team needed him the most against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals did win that game, and they remain undefeated. I have the upset for this game, according to Vegas, because Minnesota is favored to win by a field goal. I have the Bengals. This is a battle of backup quarterbacks. Browning for the Bengals, Wentz for the Vikings. Now, Wentz had a lot of promise. Who can forget? Carson Wentz was the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. They sat him down. They sat him down during the season, or I think he got hurt. And Nick Foles took his place and never went back to the bench. After that, they traded Carson Wentz. And ever since then, again, Carson Wentz was a first-round pick. They thought he was going to be elite. While many people still hold him in that regard, I don't. I like the Bengals winning. I like the Bengals covering the spread for this game. The interesting game for me in this lineup is the Steelers. The Steelers, when they initially opened up the season, they scored 30-plus points. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, but they played against the Jets. While one could make the argument that The Jets will always be the Jets. Their true test is going to come when they travel to Foxborough to face the New England Patriots. According to Vegas, they have Pittsburgh winning in a close game. I have, even though I'm not a fan of Drake May, I have the Patriots winning at home in a low-scoring game. So I have the Patriots winning, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. We have yet to see DJ Metcalf, who is a specimen wide receiver. We have yet to see him do what he does. Is it because the defense has two men on him, three men always shadowing him? Possibly, but I personally like the Patriots in this game. Again, I'm not a fan of Drake May, but for this game against the Steelers, being at home, being such a close game, I have the Patriots winning by three points. The Eagles do play at home against the LA Rams. The Eagles are favored to win by 3.5. The over-under is 44.5. This is going to be a high-scoring matchup, in my opinion. We have two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in Matthew Stafford and Jalen Hurts. LA Rams look good. They have Adams. They have Puka. They have Cooper Kupp. Let's not forget about their running back, Williams. I do believe this is going to be a battle of who's going to make the stop when needed to win the game. I have the Eagles winning this game. I do have them covering the spread. Again, I like the LA Rams. I'm a big fan of Matthew Stafford out of the Dallas area, Highland Park, if I'm not mistaken. But I do like Jalen Hurts. I do like the Eagles winning big, and I do like the over in this game. Moving forward, the Jets will travel to Tampa as they face the undefeated Buccaneers. The spread here for this game is Tampa Bay by 7. The over-under is 43.5. I'm a big believer in always taking the points whenever it's early in the season. Why? Because Vegas messes with us. They mess with our mind. They say, oh, Tampa, Baker is a gunslinger. They're going to rack up points. They're favored by 7. Buccaneers are going to cover the spread. Not so fast. I have the Jets. While I do have the Jets losing this game, I do have the Jets covering the spread. I do have them keeping it close. I'm a big believer in Justin Fields. We saw what he's capable of. Will he be able to replicate week 1? Only time will tell. And many people anticipate for this year, again, new surroundings, new coach, new atmosphere. While it is difficult to play under the spotlight in New York, I do have the Jets keeping it close. I do have the Buccaneers winning this game, but I do have the Jets covering the spread, and I will dare take the over of 43.5 for this game. I was blindsided by the Raiders, by the Las Vegas Raiders when they faced the San Diego Chargers on Monday night. I thought they were going to keep it close. After their season opener, where they showed promise, we already have the running back Gentry complaining already for touches. We had Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, say, "Hey, this is a young season. This is a long season, young buck. We want to keep your legs fresh. Of course, we want to give our studs running back 30 loads, 30 touches a game, but we need to make sure that you last, that you're durable throughout the duration of the season." Initially, when the NFL season started, I had the Commanders, ladies and gentlemen, not having a great season. Many people anticipated Dan Quinn's second year. Daniels' second year. They recently picked up Debo Samuels from San Francisco. They're going to compete against the Eagles for the NFC East. I'll be picking against the Commanders for this game. I do have the Raiders beating the Commanders. I don't see the Commanders competing in the NFC East this year. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Daniels has a sophomore slump that we have seen previously with CJ Stroud with the Texans. I believe that they will have more tape on him to be able to look for tendencies to counter the Commanders' offense. So I have the Raiders covering the spread in this game. I would dare even take the under for this game. Falcons travel to Carolina. Carolina is the laughingstock of the NFL. They brought in a young coach from Tampa. They have Bryce Young, who they thought was going to be another, Tua, another Jalen, because he was a quarterback at Alabama. I don't see it. I do have the Falcons winning and covering this spread of 5.5 easily. We are starting to see Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson, Drake London have a good nucleus. The Falcons have a good offense. If they could keep it close, I do see them covering the spread in this game. I would take the under of 43.5 in this game. I don't see the Carolina Panthers scoring too many points against the Atlanta defense. This is the tricky game. The Texans, ladies and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, are the only offense that hasn't scored a touchdown. Did they score a touchdown this past Monday night game against the Buccaneers? Possibly. But everybody's waiting for CJ Stroud to have that breakout year. He was great as a rookie quarterback. He had a slump sophomore season, and everybody said, okay, the 30 years of charm. Now he knows. Now he gets the speed of the game. I have no faith in the Texans moving forward. It's hard to make the argument that Trevor Lawrence will catapult his team to victory based on last week's lackluster performance against a backup quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. But I do like the Jaguars at home. I do see them beating their AFC South division rival in the Texans. I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning and covering the spread against the Texans. The AFC West matchup between the Broncos and the Chargers is very interesting for me. It looks as if Justin Herbert is starting to feel good about himself, is starting to believe in himself. And we have a quarterback, a former NFL quarterback in Coach Harbaugh, who possibly is a good mentor. We saw what he did with the likes of previous quarterbacks. He has taken teams to the Super Bowl. Is he what Josh Herbert needs to become elite? I would dare say yes. While I did pick the Broncos to win this division, I'm starting to realize that the Broncos possibly will be able to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West. So this is going to be an interesting game. We did have Khalil Mack, who dislocated his elbow this past Monday against the Las Vegas Raiders, who he will be on IR. So he's out for the foreseeable future. How will that affect LA Chargers' defense? Not much. Even though the Denver Broncos do rely on a good defense, I have the Chargers winning, and I have them covering the spread of 3. The over-under for this game is 46. The New Orleans Saints do travel to Seattle. Seattle is favored to win by 7.5. And again, I'm always very cautious because whenever Vegas gives an NFL team a big cushion in points, that's where I start thinking, is Vegas doing this on purpose to say, 7.5. So even if they lose by 7, I still win. I'm going to bet in favor of the Saints covering the spread. I hate this because it plays with my mind. I always think Vegas knows something that I don't. And again, the house always wins, ladies and gentlemen. If someone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. I do have Seattle winning this game, but I do have the Saints keeping it close. I am a fan of Kellen Moore, the former Eagles, Cowboys offensive coordinator. Now he is the head coach. I have no faith in CJ Rattler. But again, I do believe this is going to be a tank year for the Saints, and maybe they could pick up a good quarterback for this upcoming draft, which should have plenty quarterbacks to choose from. So again, I have Seattle winning this game, but I have the Saints keeping it somewhat close and winning and covering the spread. The Dallas Cowboys, they had an amazing comeback victory against the New York Giants. The Cowboys is a difficult relationship that we all have. The Cowboys determine how our week, well, I'll speak for myself, how my week ultimately is, because if they lose, my Green Bay fans, my Patriot fans, my Eagles fans, my friends who are Eagles fans, my friends who are Giants fans, they always bash me. They always say, "Oh man, the Cowboys suck. Oh, but it's our year this year." What's lacking for the Cowboys is a secondary. We recently did sign Jadeveon Clowney, who has been a journeyman, a first overall pick. Will he solidify the defensive line and could possibly alleviate the pressure that our secondary has? Russell Wilson looked elite last week. He looked like a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He looked like in his glory days at Seattle. We are fortunate to have Aubrey as our kicker, who is solid, who is clutch. He made it from 60, made it from 50, made it from 40. If it wasn't for having a great kicker, we would be 0-2. We would be winless. The Cowboys do travel to Chicago. Cowboys are favored to win by 1. I do have the Cowboys winning this game. I have no faith in the Chicago Bears. I have no faith in Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson is a first-year head coach. It is going to take him time to implement his offense. So I have the Cowboys traveling to Chicago and beating the Bears. An NFC West rivalry of undefeated teams. The Cardinals and the Niners will face off. Again, Brock Purdy is hurt. He is dealing with a toe injury. He is day-to-day. We did see how Mac Jones did take good command of the offense when he traveled to New Orleans. And as of right now, it seems as if Mac Jones will be – what's this? Mac Jones will be starting at home against the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals winning this game. Will Mac Jones have a setback in his second start as the 49ers quarterback? No. I do see the Cardinals keeping it close. I am a fan of Murray. I am a fan of Marvin Harrison. I'm a fan of McBride. So I do have the Cardinals winning this game. I have this game as being a close one, and I also like Connor, the running back, the former Pittsburgh Steelers running back, who is now leading the way for the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals covering the spread, winning the game against the 49ers. The Kansas City Chiefs, who's going to get their first victory of the season? Kansas City will be playing against the New York Giants Sunday Night Football. The spread, again, look at the spread, 6.5. Even though it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes, I am going to picked the Giants not to win, but to cover the spread. Now, if Kansas City starts 0-3, this will be the first time ever that Mahomes is 0-3 in his illustrious NFL career. If the Kansas City Chiefs, we spoke about them earlier, if they start to go winless throughout the season, many people that started talking about the decline of Travis Kelce, that high-powered offense. Maybe defensive coordinators have been able to they have Andy Reid's number. Maybe they know his offense more. Maybe they anticipate what his tendencies. That's going to be something to watch. Again, I have the Giants covering the spread, and I will dare say that I won't be shocked if the Giants were to pull off this upset against Kansas City. Wrapping up the third week of the NFL, the Detroit Lions will be traveling to Baltimore, where they do face the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Baltimore is favored to win by 4.5. I have the Lions covering the spread, and I have the over-under. I have the over in this game of 53.5. Many people were shocked to see how the Detroit Lions, without defensive coordinator Glenn and offensive coordinator Johnson, how they opened up their season against Green Bay. Many people thought, oh, are we going to see Detroit have a down year because losing of offense and defensive coordinators? Because, again, it's difficult. It's difficult to replace offensive minds, defensive minds, especially when you have been so successful in recent years, such as the case for the Detroit Lions. So I have the Lions covering this spread. I think this is going to be a high-scoring matchup. We have seen how Josh Gibbs, St. Brown, Goff, how they've been able to put up points. Last week, they blew out the Chicago Bears. We can talk about the Ravens, how, they had a 14-point lead, a 17-point lead against the Buffalo Bills, for them to squander that game late. We saw how Josh Allen brought his team back. So I have the Lions covering the spread. I do have this a high-scoring game, so I will take the over on this game. College, me personally, ladies and gentlemen, I prefer watching the NFL. I there's nothing like again, anyone that knows me, I'm all about sports. I'm watching football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. While many people do favor college football, who isn't a fan of tailgating, right? If you haven't already, make sure to go to an A&M, UT, heck, even go to UTSA and see them play. I have friends that are avid road runners, beep, beep, and they have great tailgating parties. There's a big difference between college football and the NFL. I like to watch the NFL. I don't move for like 10 hours out of the day. My focus is solely on the NFL game. So if I don't answer, if I don't reply, now you know why. Now, as week 4 of the NCAA college football season rolls in, us fans are being treated to several high-stake matchups that involve storylines that will likely shape conference races and playoff hopes. Top 25 clashes such as Notre Dame and Ohio State are on deck, bringing major implications for both teams' rankings. We have Florida State, after they were able to pull off an upset in their season opener against the Alabama Crimson Tide. It seems as if Florida State is the real deal. Many people thought that after their previous lackluster seasons, everybody thought, nope, the team to watch now is Miami. they did upset Alabama. They were dominant in their follow-up win against East Texas A&M. Now they look to keep rolling as they host Kent State. Obviously, we anticipate that Florida State is possibly going to be resting starters because they want to send a message, right? Hey, our goal is to play deep in December, deep in January, contend for the championship. Arkansas is also in the mix. They're led by dual threat quarterback Taylon Green. He does face a tough test at home against Memphis, who are usually very dangerous, not just because of the city. Who else? We have Maryland, surprising 3-0 start, especially for freshman quarterback Malik Washington, who is leading the offense. So it sets up an enticing matchup with Wisconsin in the Badgers' first game of the Big Ten season. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, this week will be very entertaining, to say the least, for week 4 of the NCAA football season. Again, we always focus on the teams that nobody thought would be there. If we look at the top 25 teams, I don't see UT in there. UT fell off the top 10. We have A&M ranked number 10 at an 0-3. Oh, no, UT's 8 at a 2-1. Again, how is UT going to fare whenever they travel to Gainesville to face the Gators? It's difficult to play in the swamp. Will they still be a top 10 team whenever they travel to Georgia? Again, the Bulldogs defense is legit. If they struggle with Ohio State, they're going to struggle with Georgia. No ifs, ands about it. To round up the top 10, we have Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, Miami, who has been dominant this year. Georgia pulled off an impressive victory in overtime against the Tennessee Volunteers. We have Oregon. We have Florida State, again, who many anticipated would not be in this conversation. I'm not even sure that they were ranked at the beginning of the season. To me, the shocker is Illinois. Illinois is ranked number 9. We have Oklahoma at 11, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Utah. And look at Tech. Tech is ranked number 17 in this short season. Reyes says, my son goes to College Station. Has he been to a game yet? It's impressive. Carla, Emilio, I encourage y'all, if you haven't made a trip yet, go out to College Station. I myself have never been, but I've heard stories where they have the my Mexican ass is saying the grito. They have like a cheer the night before of the game where thousands of students, parents, alum go to prepare for the next day, for Saturday. And I think their stadium holds 100,000. No. Yes, they hold 100,000 because UTSA traveled to College Station. And UTSA played in front of 100,000 spectators. That is crazy, Reyes. Crazy. I'm sure your son has been to a game. If y'all haven't gone, have him take you. It is an experience you're never going to believe. I myself have not gone, but I do have friends that are former that are A&M grads, alumni, and they tell you, man, it is something out of this world. The support that the student body, the community. College Station is a college town. Like, without A&M, there's nothing there, essentially. So to have 100,000 people pack the house is crazy. But I do encourage you to travel to A&M if you're able to for this upcoming season. We have Tech. We have Tech playing at home traveling to Utah, where Utah is favored to win by 3 points. The quarterback, offensive coordinator tandem moves to Salt Lake City. They have Utah dreaming big, a battle of 16 versus 17. I personally like Utah. I like their team. I'm a big fan of Tech, but I like Utah playing at home for this for this matchup. Tennessee suffered a very difficult loss against Georgia in overtime. They are playing the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where they are favored to win by 40 points. I do see them covering the spread at home. Oregon State travels to Salem. Oregon is favored to win by 35.5. Even though I think that Oregon will win this game, I have Oregon State covering the spread for this game. Speaking of Florida State, again, Florida State, nobody thought they would be here. They're going to win big. They have shown how they run up the score. They put up points on the board. Are they going to rest starters? Many anticipate that. Many believe so. But I do like Florida State winning big in this game. An SEC battle. Auburn will travel to Norman. Oklahoma is favored to win by 7. Now, again, if you haven't been following, Oklahoma seems to be legit this year. They do have a standout stud quarterback, but being an SEC battle, I think it's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn Tigers are able to go into Norman and pull off the victory, pull off the upset. So I have Auburn covering the spread on this game. I believe in the Sooners. I know my UT fans, my UT family isn't going to like this, but I do believe in the Sooners. I think the quarterback is a stud, but I do have Auburn covering the spread, keeping it close, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pull off a victory. Tulane will travel to Mississippi, a battle of unbeatens. Mississippi and Lane Kiffin's team is favored to win by 12.5. I do see Mississippi securing the victory. I do have them winning and covering the spread. The interesting game for me tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is Michigan. Michigan will be traveling to undefeated Omaha to face the Cornhuskers. What's this? Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola, if you haven't been following, ladies and gentlemen, Dylan Raiola is Patrick Mahomes is, what do you even call that? Impersonator. He does everything. He does everything that Patrick Mahomes has, and many people have been making fun of him. He mimics Patrick Mahomes in just about everything that he does. It's hilarious. He does wear number 15, just like Patrick Mahomes. Whenever they call the plays to his headset, he does this. Have you seen that? Have you picked up on that? He does this. Hey, give me the play. Give me the play. Who does that? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. He picks up his thigh pads a certain way. Raiola does the same. So this is going to be an interesting game. Many people anticipated that the Michigan Wolverines would have been competing for a playoff spot. Again, they paid handsomely for their quarterback, a true freshman, Bryce Underwood. They gave him $10 million, if I'm not mistaken, for the year. El Toker tiene un crush con Trump. How's it going, Alien? Happy Friday. Thanks for stopping by. Where is Toker? Miss you, man. Where's Gamboa? Where's Maxi Poo? I miss y'all. Thanks for tuning in, Alien. You kind of threw me off there. I do have Michigan winning this game, covering the spread. I do like Bryce Underwood, a true freshman who is receiving $10 million in NIL money. I do have him and the Wolverines traveling to Omaha and covering the spread against Nebraska. Purdue and Notre Dame, I have no faith in Notre Dame. To me, Notre Dame, while they are favored to win by 24.5, I do have Purdue covering the spread for this game. Temple and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is legit. They recently beat last week Clemson in a narrow victory, a field goal to win the game. Georgia Tech is favored to win big against Temple. I would dare say that they do cover this spread. South Carolina and Missouri. Missouri is favored to win by 9.5. The South Carolina quarterback, Sellers, who should be a top 5, possibly top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft, is listed as questionable. Maybe that is why Vegas has the spread favoring the Missouri Tigers. Big. I have the Missouri Tigers winning. I have South Carolina keeping it close. The Battle of Miami. The Gators will travel to Miami. Miami is favored to win by 10 points. I have Miami winning this game. I have them covering the spread. They are the 4th-ranked team in the nation. There should be a battle of Florida. Again, NFL Florida prospects are watching this game. Possibly they could base their decision on where they go. Are we starting to see the Miami Hurricanes coming back into prominence the way I saw them in the 2000s when they had greats such as Jeremy Shockey, Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, Ken Dorsey, Kellen Winslow, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. We could go on and on. And they had phenomenal talent. Are we starting to see that where Miami is starting to bring top Florida talent into their program? It is a strong possibility, right? So I have Miami winning this game big against Florida. Illinois does travel to Indiana. Indiana is favored to win by 6.5. I do have Illinois with the upset. I do have them covering the spread against Indiana, even though Indiana is at home. Georgia State does travel to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is set to win big by 28 points. I have Vanderbilt covering the spread. Southeast Louisiana is going to be facing the LSU Tigers at Death Valley. This game's going to be so bad that Vegas doesn't even have a spread for this game. So again, unless a shocker, LSU Tigers will win big. Again, I am not a fan of UT. UT has not covered the spread in any game that they've played. Many people thought, they're playing UTEP. They're favored to win by 33 points. They're going to cover the spread. Nope. Maybe undefeated Sam Houston. They're not going to have anything when they travel to Austin. Again, I'm not a betting man, but I would sprinkle a unit or two. I would dare sprinkle a unit or two on Sam Houston covering the 40-point spread. Again, Arch Manning does not have what we thought he had. It was all hype. We thought this guy was going to be competing for the Heisman, was going to be competing for championships. That is the reason why Ewers was forced out, because the coach said, hey, thank you for your services. Next year, we're going with Archie, with Arch Manning. Is the pressure too big for Arch Manning? Many people are talking about his mechanics. It sounds like an oxymoron when you think that his grandfather, his uncle, his uncles are phenomenal talents, and they themselves host quarterback clinics. I have no faith in UT. I have no faith in Arch Manning. Again, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would dare sprinkle a unit, possibly two, on Sam Houston covering this spread. Why? Because Texas hasn't shown that they have been able to dominate UTEP, haven't been able to dominate less inferior teams. Sorry, I never liked Manning. And many people don't. And maybe there was a controversy at the beginning of the season because they did ask his grandfather. What do you feel about your Heisman hopeful grandson? He is going to be entering into the NFL. He's like, he's not going to be entering into the NFL. He's going to stay at UT for a couple years. Many people took that as a shot at, whoa, maybe Grandpa knows something that we don't, right? But ultimately, whenever we look at the history of Eli and Peyton, they were quarterbacks at Ole Miss and Tennessee for 3+ years. They weren't a one and done athletes. Maybe it is beneficial for Arch to stay at UT for a while. Alien says Sarkisian keeps saying in a press conference that Manny didn't play well because he needed to go to number 2. I was laughing. That's the lamest excuse. Many people have alluded to the fact that maybe it's Sarkisian. We brought him over from Alabama because many people thought that he was, or many people argue that he was the quarterback guru. That is the reason why Manny went to UT, because of Sarkisian. Many people are questioning, is Coach Sarkisian the one that's going to get the UT Longhorns to the top? It remains to be seen. They were ranked number 1 overall. While there's no question that they have an elite defense, there is no faith in Arch. There is no faith in that in that in Archie at all. To wrap up sports talk, I do want to go over high school football very, very quickly. Last week we saw the Harlingen South Cardinals, so Harlingen South Hawks beat the Harlingen Cardinals. Are we starting to see the beginning of the end of dominance that the Harlingen Cardinals once had on the Valley? When we talk about Coach Gomez, who has been at Harlingen for the longest time, he's a tenured coach, and many people say he could be there as long as he wants because, again, he was there when I was there, if I'm not mistaken. He's been there for quite some time now. And many people anticipate year in and year out for the Harlingen Cardinals to be competing for district. Harlingen South is always looked at as inferior. Well, Harlingen South took it to the Harlingen Cardinals last week. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was a shutout. That's the last time I saw it. So Laredo will be traveling to Harlingen to face the Cardinals tonight. The Greyhounds will be playing Monterrey Tech, El UNAM, Los Tigres. That's the university in Monterrey. San Benito Greyhounds desperately needed this game after they faced Austin Westlake. Austin just tore them up a new one. They faced PSJ North, the number 1 ranked in the Valley. They were routed as well. I think they were about to get score. They were about to end the game scoreless, but they managed to put up points at the very end. So the San Benito Greyhounds do desperately need a win, and what better to secure that win against the Monterrey team? Now, if San Benito loses, Chingao, we best worry about the Greyhound season. Laredo Mission, Sherryland PSJA, Southwest, La Feria, Valley View. Who else can we find? Who else is on there? The Donna Redskins go to Flower Bluff. Hidalgo will play at Port Isabel with Coach Tony. Who else can I find of it? Let me see. RGV Sports. Who else could I find? What else? Raymondville Falfurias, Santa Garrutis against Progreso, Lyford Bishop, Veteran Memorial Chargers will be traveling to Laredo today. Maybe I could stream that game, huh? Interesting. So Brownsville Veteran Memorial will be traveling to Laredo tonight. They're probably on their way as we speak. Who else is on here? Lyford Bishop, Nick Rowe and Palmview, Rio Grande City, McAllen Mustangs, Mission, Edinburgh Vela, PSJ Earth Memorial, Westaco East, Zapata Roma, Monte Alto, La Villa, Santa Maria, Woodrose, Laredo United travel to Westaco, Harlingen Cardinals and Mission Veterans. Porter travels to Sherryland. Wait, what the hell? Did I see JV or what? Donna plays Rivera. What? I'm confused. Oh, there's next week. I'm already going to the 26th next week. So ya me pasé. Yeah, so that's the games to follow. What else? Raymondville Life for Riondo. They dominated in their opening season. All three of them are 3-0. Harlingen South picked up the pivotal victory in Brownsville yesterday against the Raiders, Rivera Raiders. Oh, I see. Let me see. Do we have highlights from that game? Huh. Let's see what they say. Let me put it up real quick. I need to go to a high school football game. It's been a while. Where am I? Right here. Let's see. It's not the prettiest win, but Harlingen South takes it, especially in the competitive 15-1-5-5A-D1. The Hawks held off Brownsville Rivera 16-13 in Thursday night football in Brownsville. The Hawks scored their 16 in the first half, while the Raiders grabbed their 13 in the second. Overall, the game was drastically sharp by penalties. We do not have the official number, but both teams easily hit the numbers for this game. Harlingen South could have won in a more comfortable fashion without the flags, and Brownsville Rivera could have said that they might have won the game if not for the flags or thrown on them. There was a lot of pre-snap penalties, holdings, and some tricky, ticky-tacky personal fouls that ultimately stymied the full capabilities of both offense. Harlingen South head coach Israel Gonzalez was not critical of the officiating, but he said he needed to see the tape, but he acknowledged the impact of the flags. Obviously, that took its toll. So many plays got called back. It's hard to tell. I have to go back and look at the film. We appreciate Tasso and everything they do. It played a huge role in some huge plays getting called back on our side. That's the way the game goes sometimes. There was not many protests from both coaching staff. There was obvious penalties, and it was a really important game for both teams in the district. Both sides ran the ball between the tackles, which could lead the to holding calls and maybe even nerves for some pre-snap calls. To say the least. Our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube. From here on out, we'll be focusing on sports talk. We'll be talking about the NFL, college, and even some high school games. I'm going to start possibly streaming some NFL games. I think that'd be pretty cool. I've done it before, and I thought might as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for your time and your attention. Happy Friday. Hope you all have a great YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. See y'all Monday, 9 a.m. Peace.